What's up, everybody?
Hey, you're back.
Yes, sir, we
With
are.
another review.
Yes, sir, we are. Brother, how are things going in your neck of the woods today, my man?
It's going all right. It's getting so dark so quickly, but they're kind of getting first snow today, so that's I guess something to be happy about. But otherwise, there isn't too much to do really with all the COVID restrictions and just the weather not being that great necessarily. So, what
Does
about
it,
you?
does it snow pretty hard? Does it come down pretty good out there?
It's not really. It's like this was the global warming these days. Like Latvian winter is like 0 degrees with a little bit of snow. It's not as negatives like it used to be. So
Fascinating. Cool, man. We'll definitely bundle up. Yeah, but here, man, still doing the same. Getting darker here earlier and faster. Wait, yeah, earlier and then becoming lighter, a lot darker or a lot later. Jeez Louise. Still waking up. But ultimately, the weather doesn't get too bad out here. It's like the lowest is like 30, 40, which is, it can get pretty nippy, but it's not something it's gonna
yeah, I mean Fahrenheit. It's also like in the 30s here. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, oh yeah, funny. You're right. You're talking
yeah,
Celsius. I'm talking Fahrenheit. That's hilarious.
yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I guess we can kind of jump into first card. It was the Glover Teixeira and Thiago Santos main evented that card, and
Yes, sir.
had a couple other fights on that card as well.
Yeah, we could touch on some. And we kind of talked about it at the beginning, but I actually saw pretty much every single fight. Stayed really up to date on everything, so this would be cool. Well, first off, just the Thiago Santos Glover Teixeira fight.
That was
I think Glover Teixeira did much better than I thought he was going to do. I thought I must have built Thiago Santos up to be this really big entity after the John Jones fight, but being taken down pretty easily by Glover. Glover absorbed all the shots, proved that he still has a chin at 40 or 41, whatever age he's at. And it was a fun fight to watch. And Glover weathered the storm, looked like kind of broke Thiago and got the submission and himself up for Jan Blachowicz. But I don't know. I just thought Thiago was just going to be a little more of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean Thiago, definitely, they both seemed evenly matched, but it clearly was proven that Thiago Commons the better striker and Glover was way superior at grappling. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Thiago I think dropped Glover like 2 or 3 times in the fight, so it was quite close to finishing it up, but that transition in the end by Glover where he was being pounded and he just slipped under and got the back real quick. Yeah, it was. Glover just definitely, he's just so crafty, has such good grappling, and I think also, like I wasn't telling you last time, I wasn't that bought into Thiago Santos really. He had a struggle. I still remember how he struggled against Gegard Mousasi grappling wise at 185.
A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
And then I kind of starting to think that also John Jones, like they talked about, was picking at food in that fight, because I feel like if John really wanted to take him down and beat him up, he totally would have done that. Wasn't as close as the Dominic Reyes fight.
Yeah, that's what I've heard that. I've said that myself too. Like picking with his food. I think his last 3 fights, I think with his personality, and I think his inflated sense of self, I do believe that it was something that he could have performed a lot better if he did better preparation, but I don't think his mind necessarily let him do it as much. So yeah, but regardless, Glover definitely number 1 contender. Him versus Jan Blachowicz, that sounds like fun.
I mean, it's interesting. In the beginning of the year, though, they'll do Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prochaska. That's also kind of like a viewed as like maybe a number 1 contender fight, but we'll see how everything goes with people moving up and down. I hear like Blachowicz calling out John Jones and that he's going to go to heavyweight to fight John Jones. And
you gotta like that. Jan is jumping straight into it. You know what I mean?
He's the confidence of a main eventer that he's not a gatekeeper anymore.
He's talking back to everybody, and he's doing it in a very polite, stoic Polish type of way, and I'm digging it.
Yeah. And
what else?
What else was on this card? I guess
the ageless freaking wonder, man. Andrei Arlovsky beat our boy Tanner.
Fighting.
Tanner
All
Boss,
he does is fight.
Just fights, brother. I think he definitely, if I can, and this is one of those things while looking back, I don't believe this was too exciting of a fight, if I remember correctly. I remember wishing that, each person, primarily Bosser, would throw more, because I thought the few that he did land, I thought was good. But, Andre, man, I just don't know. I don't know what he does. He still got it. And he just
evolved so many times.
Dance to his tune, man. I don't know. It was interesting, but he's still there. He beat a guy who I thought was going to fight next to be possibly in the top 15, and Arlovsky's probably still in the top 10. And keep giving him these guys, man. I don't know. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely evolved. This style is not like it used to be, like knockout for knockout and going all out. It's very technical, and it's not maybe the most exciting, but I guess at this stage of his career, he can't risk taking big headshots and fights, and he has to be technical. And I mean, he's definitely having success. He's getting wins. It's not like he's losing left and right. So you got to give a shout to him. Yeah, keep going, Andre. Fight everyone.
Yeah, his debut in the UFC was of November of 2000. So yeah, I don't think he's in the business of needing to have those knock 'em drag out wars anymore. I think you're right.
And what else? I guess on this card worth mentioning for my part was Alexander Romano and Marcos Rogerio de Lima finish with that forearm choke. It seems so basic and primitive, but I mean, when a big 260-pound guy pushes his forearm into your throat, you're gonna go to sleep eventually.
Well, think about the Ezekiel choke. This going into your Adam's apple, or your fist going into your Adam's apple. Like, you're right. I actually don't know why it doesn't get utilized more often. And then when you really press down on the forearm, when you really think about, oh, let me just move my neck or move my neck, it's really when you have a long forearm, I mean, there's not really much to go after you get pinned and stuck there, and you might not necessarily even know that it's happening.
It's Romano, very strong, heavy on top, and I guess Marcos just didn't react on time, trying to push against him, and he was just out. That's it.
That's what happens, man. That is what happens. And I remember, because now I'm looking at the prelims. The prelims were fantastic. Now that I'm looking, I remember correctly, Trevin Giles had a fantastic performance. I really enjoyed him, and got me excited because he was supposed to fight Kevin Holland, and he's the one who feigned and got pulled out. So but he looked great in this fight, and obviously want to see him kind of moving up. You talked about Romanov, excited about him for sure. Darren Elkins kind of still doing his thing, was really grinding out Luis Eduardo Garagori. Oh, Max Griffin probably looked the best that he's looked by far with what is that, round 3 TKO? Yeah, he was looking really good, and then was able to close out the deal. And then Gustavo Lopez, I think anybody that could submit Anthony Burchek that quickly, I think that's a fantastic feather in the cap, or just, if anything, just cool.
GCU alumni Anthony Burchek.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I totally forgot about that. So luckily I was giving him props for being beaten, I guess.
Yeah, hadn't heard about him in a while, but yeah, was competing on the independents on Ryzen as well. So yeah. But
he was pretty good there for a little bit in terms of just being considered a prospect. You know what I mean? So still must account for something.
Yeah, I guess that's anything else on this card you want to mention?
I would say the last one would just be that I always forget how to say her name. The Jan, the other Jan.
Jan.
The strawweight, the lady that beat Claudia Gadelha. Close fight. But I think it was good that she kind of made it through, or made it past Claudia, because I think Claudia has a certain level or a certain precedent, so to speak. So now I think she's going to start getting some bigger fights. So I'm excited.
Undefeated in the UFC still, so 13-1 in total.
Yes, sir. All right, man.
And next card.
Elder Dos Anjos.
Yeah, so what did you think about the main event? It was there was this split decision, but it seemed like for other judges it was 50-45, a clear winner. So, I mean, yeah, RDA, I think, won that one.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I was watching it, but kind of not watching it. I was at a restaurant with my parents, and so I had it. So I wasn't looking as thoroughly as one might need to. But whenever I did look, RDA was on top, or at least pressuring from the top position. When there was striking going on, it was primarily being dictated by RDA. I've seen gone back and I've watched a couple of different rounds. Still primarily, I would say pretty comfortably a 50-45, 49-46. But yeah, I don't know who could have possibly saw a split decision. I think the fact that there's not an immediate investigation, I think there's an issue. Because I'm not even saying investigation. I'm not even saying investigation in terms of like any crazy theory or mob. I'm just thinking that person doesn't know what they were watching. That's all that I think. I simply don't think they know what they were watching. I think they were watching was like, the Irish Dragon guy looks like he's winning. Okay, cool. And we've seen this.
Crazy.
It's crazy. We've seen this a lot, and we don't make it a big deal when it's a split decision win for the guy that's supposed to win. But dude, we see this a lot. I see a lot of split decisions. I'm like, what the freak is going on? That person, I don't know what that person's name is, but that person needs to be investigated, needs to be educated, right? Because that's not fair. What if another judge thought that Felder won? That could have completely been a catastrophe because it didn't demonstrate what happened. And you have to follow these rankings. Kind of why I'm glad they gave Jose Aldo the title shot after he had that loss to Marlon Moraes, because a lot of people thought that Jose won. And I think it's important to say, that's the same with Dominic Reyes. Like, if you think a split decision or put him right in the title fight, like, those should matter. You know what I mean? So definitely I'm glad they're not taking that fully into consideration. I'm glad that RDA got the win, but I don't know who could have gave 3 rounds to Felder. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't know.
Speaking of the 2 performance of the night's bonuses, those are the 2 ones that really am excited talking about. The Chaos Williams against just on a tear. Like, he just ran through Abdul, who was also kind of similar fighter with a lot of knockouts, but he's kind of had a couple setbacks, and this is another one. And Chaos just ran straight through him, and his had the entourage in his corner were really, really full of energy. So always great to see that. And I mean, he's definitely on the upside, the prospect in the UFC.
Yeah, dude, without question. I didn't really even know much about this guy. I knew Abdul, and I was excited for that. And they said this guy was doing this other guy, Chaos Williams, was doing a lot of knocking out. I'm like, all right, cool. And then, like you said, it happened. And what I find interesting is I've been seeing videos from like people that were there, like later on, talking about the fact, like, it was weird because it was first off a devastating KO, clearly. But the fact is that he stayed unconscious for like minutes, for like 10, 12 minutes. He was not moving at all, which is, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if that's exaggerated, but I've heard 10 minutes he was not moving, which I'm not an expert, but
no, I mean, imagine a couple of minutes, but 12 minutes, I don't know. That's
12 minutes. Yeah.
That's serious. That's really serious.
It's either serious injury or serious power, probably serious both. Right.
Yeah.
And now he's scheduled. Did you see that he scheduled the headline, the prelims for UFC? I believe it was 256 or whatever the next one is, maybe 257. And he's fighting Michelle Pereira.
Oh,
dude, look, it might be scheduled, it might be listed, but
It's I'm looking as we are talking. Yes, it's scheduled. Yeah, so that could be a really good one.
Dude, that fight is gonna be bonkers, man. Michelle Pereira's a freaking nutcase in the best way possible.
Yeah, and another one I want to mention again, Sean Strickland, who we discussed previously. He's just been moving up, and I said, like, despite the motorcycle accident, still kind of kept track of this guy's progress, and he's back and fought at catch rate of 195. So he was cutting all the way to 170, but even at 195, he looked like really like himself, and was just kind of showed that experience, kind of controlled the octagon, very confident in his striking, and just picked apart the young Brendan Allen. So I definitely see Strickland being in that like top 15 now with this win.
Oh yeah, Strickland's impressing the heck out of me, especially at 185. And I know I reference, it sounds like I reference MMA math a lot, but I mean, Brendan, where did it happen? Brendan Allen just got a win over Kevin Holland, who's, I think, has been tearing it up, has been kicking butt, and he's about to fight Jack Hermanson, which I think will be a really good indicator of how good both those guys really are. But I think both these guys are a lot better than people think. So I think that Sean Strickland coming out, especially moving up to 185, you mentioned, 195, but we know what weight class he'll be fighting in. He looked, like you said, fantastic on the feet. Every bit the weight class, every bit the keeping him on the end of his punches, like you said, controlling it, and then ended up getting the finish in the second round. I'm like you said, I want a 15. I want a top 15 or next. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And again, like I mentioned, losses only to Kamaru Usman, Santiago Ponzinibbio, and that was when he was like draining himself to 170. That Bisping kept repeating that he didn't know why he was doing it. So
that's going to be exciting, man. I'm really looking forward to that. And shout out to both of the strawweight fights on the card. I thought the Ashley Yoder versus the Miranda Granger fight, I thought that fight was fun, man. There was a lot of ground technique, a lot of activity, and I think Ashley Yoder probably looked the best that she's looked for sure. I'm really excited to see. Probably her against another prospect. I'm not sure. And then we had the Kay Hansen versus Corey McKenna, which was another back and forth fight that I think, definitely was close. I think a little bit extra done could have had Kay win it, but I thought they both it demonstrated a wider range of skills. And I thought they were young. Maybe I'm making that up, but I don't know. I enjoyed that. That whole main card was fantastic, and now I'm about to look to the preliminary card, and that part was probably dope as all heck too. Yeah, just about. But obviously, I'll throw it over to you. Anything you want to touch on, or maybe go into in terms of the prelims?
No, I think that's good. I think the main card definitely delivered. He had the fight of the night, the performances of the night of the main card, kind of had decisions on prelims.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at them all right now. I'm trying to see if I can remember anything. Well, the first one, Dontel Mays at heavyweight. He said, and I kind of believed him. He said that he didn't think he performed as well as he could have. So I'm looking forward to him because he was a tall guy, and at heavyweight, any big, strong-looking guy I get excited for. Alex Morono beating Reese McKee. I thought that was a really good win for him. Tony Gravely. Sorry, brother, don't remember how that performance went. And then obviously Randa Marcos getting a loss, so that provides a new prospect or new contender because I think Randa Marcos is a staple, so that's something new. And I think actually this Murata lady, I believe, she holds a victory over former Olympic gold medalist Helen Maroulis from the USA. So she is a very, very highly decorated freestyle wrestler.
She's 12-1. Yeah, has had success in Ryzen and undefeated, won her UFC debut. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that for sure, brother. But that's all I got on this fight card. But like I said, it was fantastic, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we can jump into the pay-per-view portion of the UFC 255.
I'm looking forward to this, man. Because
yes.
Dude, I don't know about you, man. I am going to be forever mad because people think they're going to be forever mad about not getting Henry versus DJ3, which don't get me wrong, now that I say that out loud, that makes me mad too. But Figueiredo versus Demetrius Johnson, dude, has me salivating, bro, because I think that Figueiredo has a finishing capability in all facets, submission and striking, that I think would provide a lot of issues. I'm not saying he would win, and also the size. I think Figueiredo is the guy to have post Demetrius Johnson, post Henry Cejudo. And he went
both guys, Henry Cejudo, Demetrius Johnson, both of them sound good. Throw them all in a triple threat match.
Oh, dude, yes, bro. And then Figueiredo was his glasses, his shirt off. He's very, very. What's what I'm looking for? It's because it's a great character trait. It's not like over annoyingly, cocky, but it's just like, come on, dude, put on a shirt. But it's like, hey, man, if you have abs like this, would you wear a shirt? So it's kind of that fun little, it's kind of like that fun little, like, kind of the bad guy, so to speak. He knows he's good, and he's flaunting it a little bit. It's fantastic. And he's fighting now on 21 days notice against.
Yeah, might as well just keep defending that belt, right?
just keep him in Las Vegas. Let's just keep checking out. Let's just keep utilizing some title defenses. But he just overall overwhelmed Alex Perez. I think Alex Perez will learn from this and be able to grow greater from it now that he knows what that champion feels like. But man, dude, he was just it was scary, bro. It was scary.
Yeah, he was maybe like kind of like seeing how well-rounded he is, it kind of reminded me of that very peak Henan Barao, like when he was also like unstoppable at that point. And I mean, obviously his career declined, but like that prime moment where I could definitely seeing him being that top pound for pound guy in the world, just not having a weakness anywhere, and just how easily he just slipped that guillotine in transition. Looked like almost like a amateur grappling tournament kind of exchange where the guy is just clearly a better grappler and just threw a guillotine in.
Yeah, man, it was devastating for sure, and I love it, man. Let's keep it going. I'm excited to see him again in 21 days.
Yeah, all right, absolutely.
And we got the next one. This one's hilarious to me because, and I don't agree with many people often, but dude, the commentary during this fight was hilarious, man. This commentary during this fight was hilarious. Like it was just way over. Like she seriously would push her up against the cage, and Joe would be like, look at that, and I'm like, she's pushing her against the cage. I believe she's a jiu-jitsu world champion. Like I don't know, or like the whole second round, like you know as well as a lot of other people in the game. Just when you get top position or clinch position and you're experienced, you can ride out, you can win a round. You don't even have to necessarily be that much more phenomenal. But if I get a good trip and I get a good position, I could hold if the intention is to stall. And the intention didn't look like it was too advanced at all. So people watch the second round and it's like, oh my gosh, but Valentina Shevchenko won probably 22 out of the 25 minutes. The only time she did lose was technically when she was supposed to, because I believe Jennifer Maia is a really good jiu-jitsu black belt. When I technically think on paper, I don't know what Valentina is, but it's not her background technically. So it's, obviously Jennifer Maia did great in the fact that she turned it into a fight. And now I'm excited to see Jennifer Maia came out. So I think both people won because Valentina got her dominant defense and then Jennifer Maia got her respect. But I was just listening to the commentary, man. I was like, guys, can we please? Like, she would land one strike, and Valentina would land like 30, and would just be like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, stop! It's not that close. So I don't know if you remember that, but I was just like,
I guess I spaced out, didn't listen to the commentary that much, but that's funny. Now I'll need to listen back to it one more time.
It's not a big deal. It's just something that that glass was shattered to me a little bit ago. So now every time it's like a John Jones, Dominic Reyes, or Valentina, Jennifer Maia, in terms of, I'm not saying like this is the actual discrepancy. I'm saying what they're going into in terms of social construct. And so like, when like going in there, like when someone's a huge underdog, they do one thing and it's like the greatest thing in the world. So it's just funny to recognize. So check that out. But I think Valentina looked amazing, and I'm so looking forward to Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. That's got to be the next. That has to be. There's no way that's not the next fight.
I kind of think have to remember when the GSP was fighting John Fitch way a long time ago. I think GSP was winning the whole fight, and I think also for 1 minute and second round, Fitch turned him around on his back, and Joe Rogan was, oh my gosh, now we're in a different world. We're in John Fitch's world. This is a different fight. We'll see. And then George just stood up like 10 seconds later.
Yeah. So definitely. There's another one that I forgot. Oh, another one that they've mentioned that you can look into is listen and watch Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor too. When Conor would get a knockdown, even though it was a knockdown, because I'm trying to look, it wasn't like any like flash knockouts. It was like a knockout to the knee or to the butt, but it's Nate Diaz. So if you get a knockout, I'd be like, oh my god, he got a knockdown. But when in the later rounds, when Nate would start unloading against the fence, Joe Rogan would be, or not Joe Rogan specifically, but everyone would be significantly more excited for that. So it's just interesting because you see the unconscious biases, so to speak, or maybe the conscious biases. Who knows? But anyways, not to take away, Shevchenko is the boss. My personal favorite female fighter, and I think probably the best pound for pound, because I think that if she fit Amanda Nunes' frame and you put the skill sets together, I think Valentina wins that fight.
I wanted to bring that up, as well. That I think she's the best female pound for pound fighter in the world. I think
if she's 140, if she's Chris Cyborg size, I think she beats her. I think if she's Amanda Nunes' size, I think she beats her. And size is not the end all be all, but I don't think anyone understands from 125 to 135. That's like 15 to 20% of your body weight. That's a lot stretched out between the entire human body. That's why they make weight classes, people. You know what I mean? So yeah. So she's fantastic. I love her. Looking forward to Jessica Andrade. I think Jessica Andrade has the finishing capabilities to end that if she wants to, or not like she can just pick and choose, but she could.
Yeah, and speaking of not fitting into the weight class, Mike Perry fighting against Tim Means. Yeah, so
that was a high-level transition on your part, by the way. That was high-level transition, dog.
Yes, I was just dying to get it in right away when you start talking about it. Yeah. But yeah, just going into it, yeah, I mean, Mike Perry, like, I think he's just kind of his personality sells the fights. I think he definitely has holes in his game with his defense, and I think Tim Means was just peppering with these straight punches, and Perry got all cut up. Still had his girlfriend in his corner, so that's good that's still a thing.
Makes him happy.
I think it's just, unless it's like Mickey Gall or CM Punk, like, yeah, I think he's gonna get outstruck.
Yeah. First off, man, the discrepancy, if anything else, like, it's interesting. It's really weird when you put some of these people together, but look at the discrepancy now. Technically, once again, MMA math isn't the only thing in the world, but look at Tim Means' fight against Mike Perry versus Mickey Gall. Like, how much more superior, or what are some of these discrepancies in terms of people? Because I didn't think Mickey Gall was that much inferior. You know what I mean? So not trying to take anything away, but it's just interesting when you see them actually put together. But and it kind of shows, like, Mike Perry is getting these Robbie Lawlers, but he should be getting these top 15 or in the or still kind of working up, so to speak, because Tim Means has been around a while, and Tim Means is really good. I think he's a perennial top 15, top 10 guy. Maybe top 10 might be pushing it, but and one thing that Tim Means said that I thought was interesting, I didn't even think about this, because Mike Perry coming at 175.5 is weird to me, and he even said, like, he kept going, he couldn't get more off, and then Tim Means was like, I know what he was trying to do. Like, everybody forgets this, but if he weighed in at 176, they would have called off the fight. It would have been 5 pounds over. They would have called the fight. So when he says he got to 175.5 and his body couldn't sweat anymore, even though he's cut to 170 before,
yeah,
I think he's making a lot more money than he should, and I think he was like, screw it. And I think his antics outside should demonstrate the same type of stuff. So I love him. We can keep watching him. He's fun to watch, and he freaking throws down. But there is a significant skills discrepancy, right?
Yeah.
And he can keep on headlining these cool things, but because he's got that persona, he's got that. I'm not going to train. I'm just going to train on the streets. I'm just going to eat all I want and just be around my girlfriend and still going to fight. That's just him. Cool. I love it. Keep having him fight, because it was a good fight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you can do that on independence, but not at the very highest level.
Yeah. But he's still competing, and he's clearly doing what he wants, which is all anybody ever wants to do, right? All right. Next one, I think in terms of business, was a huge drop, because I think Calvillo versus Andrade or Shevchenko, I think that would have been obviously better because it would have been different. But Chookagian, man, looked really good. Kept Calvillo at distance. Calvillo couldn't really get anything off. And I think Chookagian is definitely, putting herself different amongst a lot of these contenders, man. But there's just still that threshold to get to Shevchenko. That's going to be hard. But she looked good, man, and she beat someone that. Oh, and here's I want to pat myself on the back on this one. I actually was watching these fights with Town, so he could back me up on this. Calvillo went in as a minus 260 favorite, and I said that is bonkers. I said she could probably win this fight. Those odds need to be so much closer. So I wish I would have bet. That's all I'm trying to say, because Chookagian is a bad mother lover. to not use that last word. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think the people at home know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I guess next fight was Paul Craig and Shogun Rua. And what do you think of Shogun's performance? Because it was quite sad in the end, seeing him like almost not wanting to be there in that corner.
Shogun submitting to strikes, he has to retire. Shogun I don't think would ever, like, I think the one time was I mean, when he remember when he broke his arm against Mark Coleman? I think even then he might have tapped, but I think even then he was questioning the tapping. And Mark Coleman
I think they were throwing the towel, or there was like an issue with that, and
or he was just staring at it, which I think was more shock he couldn't tap. But still, ultimately, like, him to strike to tap, he must have been like, I can't do anything, and it didn't look like he could do anything at another point. Another bet that I made, I was looking at town. I was like, listen, I think Paul Craig had a lot of respect. I think he didn't necessarily know. I think he might have been young. I think Shogun had a hell of a day, because I don't know how they fought to a draw. I don't know. And so this one kind of proved, luckily didn't make me eat my own words too badly like some of the other ones. Not to talk about Volkov, but he always lets me down. I always put a jab there. But no, Paul Craig he looked like he could do whatever he wants, and I think Shogun definitely needs to retire for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was, do you remember all these wars with like Dan Henderson, him not quitting and almost making a comeback in the end, and it's been
that was a fight. That was a perfect, clear 3 rounds to 2, and the only question there was like kind of 10-8 rounds. But that was, like you said, imagine watching that fight and then, I don't know, just succumbing to strikes. Which, don't get me wrong, he could have had one that went through that really damaged something that really hurt. That's another possibility. I'm not saying that it's just that he quit, but he could have felt something in there that could be completely different from other fights.
And speaking about damaging something, looking into the next fight, you got Brandon Moreno and Brendan Royale, the battle of Brandons. And yeah, I think that in the end, it was all of a sudden Brandon kind of got the top position and pounded him out, but you could see Royale kind of holding his arm afterwards.
Yeah, I think that because it was a dislocated shoulder. I think if anyone, it's one of those things that, like, some people might be like, ow, but if anyone's ever had a dislocated shoulder, they'd be like, oh, okay, because not because it's not that big of a deal, but as you saw, all they did was just pull on it, and it snapped back into place. You could actually see the replay where you could look it up, but like when it's like Royval's his shoulder being popped back into place, and as soon as he does it, he's like, cool, that's great, I can fight again. It's one of those weird injuries, the dislocation of the shoulder, that is so freaking serious at the time and painful, but as soon as you pop it back in, it's not nearly. Oh, I mean, it's still serious because you still shouldn't do that, because that is a temporary fix, but it's a temporary fix that doesn't make you feel it at all. You know what I mean? You still get a dislocated shoulder fix, but so yeah, he had it's a weird stinger of an injury, man. I was super, super bummed out because I was really high on Royval. Actually, I was really high on this fight because I thought this fight was going to be fun. And I think it cheaped us out of a good finish on either end. I think either guys are capable of that. But Royval will be back. I don't even think he was ranked at the beginning of this year. I think they even said that. I think his debut was this year, and now he's fighting for a #1 contender fight. So Moreno got it done. He's been here a little bit longer. I think he's cool, a cool personality. So I'm excited to see them fight in 21 days, man. I love watching the flyweights fight, man. I'll fight anybody. I won't fight anybody. I'll watch anybody fight who can throw a fucking gajillion punches in a second. Get out of my face, right?
And the Walgreens employee, Joaquin Buckley, with another victory in that fight.
The proud Walgreens. He said that he's a proud Walgreens, and I respect that because, you know, it's a tough job too. But
and another win after that spectacular knockout, another KO win. So he's climbing up the rankings.
Yeah, and over a good guy too. Jordan Wright. I think they said it in one of my favorite nicknames. I think he's the Beverly Hills Ninja. First off, awesome. Second off, I've seen him a couple of times. I really like his movement at that weight class. I think that he does everything really well. And I think Joaquin Buckley, coming off of that, you know, obviously that spectacular knockout, needed another one. And I didn't need another one, but definitely wanted to, or definitely was a lot of the world expecting that. And he came in and he got it, man. And it was a standing one. It was rough. Dude, it was rough to watch. It looked like it hurt. I have no idea how he's able to take so much damage.
I also haven't seen Joaquin Buckley and James Krause having a back and forth online. So we'll see how that unfolds.
I'm super curious. I would, and because this is the therapist in me, this is the psychologist in me, but I need to see their interviews because they're saying two completely different stories, and so someone's lying. Like someone's lying. I mean, James Krause is saying he's been kicked out of every single gym in St. Louis, and obviously Joaquin was saying the exact opposite. That's not something that has a lot of someone's lying. Right. And obviously, I think in this case, it's probably not necessarily lying, but I think it's Krause probably over-exaggerating, being kicked out of every gym in St. Louis. Do you know it? Well, I'm St. Louis. You might probably know of every gym in St. Louis. But still, I don't know. I want to see their interviews. I want to see that talking done so that we can actually get some answers. And then I want to see them fight. But I think, dude, if you want to talk about the fight, I think Crouch is a 170 guy too. And
Krause is more like 170, 155 even. So I don't know whether that's ever going to really happen. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to hear. Yeah.
And if you want to talk about like, once again, going back to weight classes, like skill set, man, like I don't know the skill set. I'm sure that James Crouch is probably really good, technical striking and on the floor maybe, but Buckley's size and strength. Oh my goodness. It's hard for me not to see that ending in a knockout. Seriously.
Watch him putting him against Uriah Hall or something like that. That would be just a gunfight.
You just got me excited, son. I think
it just came into my brain out of nowhere.
Let me tell you about a fight that doesn't make any sense to me. And I've heard that they planned it. Uriah Hall versus I'm gonna keep talking, I need to get my charger. Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman, I heard, is being targeted.
I guess it's because they had like the fight in New York on the independent scene early on, and both in their careers. And
dude, they fought on the Imagine fighting Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall on the regional circuit.
It was in 2010. I'm looking at it. They fought like in Atlantic City, New Jersey, for the Ring of Combat middleweight championship, and Uriah Hall lost this title to Chris Weidman. Yeah. And now over 10 years later, they're fighting again.
Which I love the storyline, by the way, but and the way you explain it made a lot more sense in terms of why they should talk about it or you do it. But in terms of business, man, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because here's the thing. I believe Chris Weidman, I think we could all agree, Chris Weidman still, even though he's not as good as he once was, I think he still is probably the favorite. I think he's still going to win. And then now you're going to build up Chris Weidman, and I think that's just building up someone who's not going to have a good possibility of moving on and being better guys. And then
honestly, I don't know. It's almost like a coin toss in my eyes. I don't know I'm not that sure about Weidman because he got struggled against Akhmedov and his chin's been questionable.
And I get that, and I think it's a good coin flip, and I think it's a good risk, but I think they're banking too much on the fact that Weidman declined because Uriah Hall, you get past a minute and you have someone that just wants to keep on wrestling, dude. I mean, I just think it's a tough matchup. So I hope Uriah wins because I think that will really spread out the division. But I just think, man, business-wise, I think Uriah Hall would have done better with somebody else. Maybe someone that wants to stay on their feet. Weidman is a smart guy.
Maybe a Buckley fight instead.
So once again, I think I'm excited for it, and the storyline you just said is fantastic. They fought in the regional circuit a long time ago, but business-wise, it's a risk, and I hope it comes out well. Actually, no, I don't because I like Weidman, and I want Weidman to win that fight. So not like a dislike Hall, but I like Weidman. So.
Yeah, and I guess we have pretty much gone through all the cards so far.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we gotta. Let me see. What else happened in that card? Yeah, I guess that's okay. Yeah, that we talked about everything. Then man, this whole fight card was just so good. Did you watch the Alan Joey Band versus the Jared Gooden fight? That fight was redonkulous. And then we have Antonina Shevchenko winning by a lot of grappling, which was fantastic. And then, I'm good. Cool. And now you want to talk.
Definitely couple of stacked cards for sure.
And they were fantastic.
And then I guess looking into some of the MMA news, what do we got here? We got that I heard a rumor of Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler potentially fighting, so testing Chandler at the very top right away.
Yeah, I think I heard that first from DC, and I think here's the thing: it has to make it has to make the most sense. I mean, who else? Let's just do this: UFC lightweight rankings. Who else? Because everyone else is booked now. And first off, dude, I'm calling it right now. I believe that Charles Oliveira, Tony Ferguson fight. I think that fight's going to be good. And I think I'm already kind of leaning towards Charles Oliveira on that.
Oh,
and I'm gonna.
I've been hearing a lot of people actually saying that Charles Oliveira might beat Tony Ferguson.
And I'm gonna tell you why eventually. But first, I want to look at this lightweight division so we can get this clear. So let's think. Okay, so we have Khabib Nurmagomedov retired. We have Justin Gaethje not fighting anybody, just recently fought, pretty unharmed in terms of didn't get pounded out, obviously. Ferguson fighting Oliveira. I'm sorry, I skipped. Poirier fighting Conor. Ferguson fighting Oliveira. McGregor fighting Poirier. Hooker, maybe, but I think with how heavily they're keeping Michael Chandler kind of at a certain point, like, because what I found interesting was Dana White said that he wasn't fighting Ferguson on that card because he had done another weight cut. So I think it's interesting that they're clearly trying to keep Michael Chandler for something in particular, because typically Dana White's not someone that cares about. I mean, look at Davison Figueiredo. He's cutting weight now in 21 days. You know what I mean? So I think that they're not planning on just giving him Dan Hooker for that type of. And then you have Oliveira and RDA. It has to be Gaethje. It has to be. It has to be. There's no way. They're not going to give him RDA. If anything, they're going to do the RDA Makhachev fight again. Literally, that was the top 8. It has to be Michael Chandler and Gaethje.
Yeah.
And like you said, dude, that fight, man. Oh my! We can get another Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler saga, dude. That's got all the potential of being the fight of the freaking forever. So I think that's clearly what's next. I think that's what they're setting them up for. I think it's a good style matchup. I think it just makes the most sense. I don't think giving him Dan Hooker would create the general buzz or excitement at this point. I think it's got to be Gaethje.
That's right. Yeah, they want to kind of throw him right in the main event with Michael Chandler. So
they know. And here's
test them right away.
Here's the thing that excruciatingly makes me mad, and I don't know if this is factual, but I saw this, out in the news. But I think I heard that Poirier is still making, or he was offered like $100K or something in that wheelhouse to fight Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is being offered like $300,000 and change. So I just think I get that Chandler's got probably a lot of draw, but when Poirier's been doing everything for the UFC for so long, dude.
I had no idea Poirier was so underpaid now.
And so I would say look into that, because I don't think Poirier only making $100,000 all the time is accurate. I do believe he's made more, but that's what I heard and saw that he was offered. And here's the thing: I do believe that they would offer Michael Chandler more. And I think, and I get this business. This is my heart coming out, but like you got to pay the man. That man's been there, dude. That man's made so much money. Because here's another thing. It's not only just necessarily like who can make more money for me right now. Actually, unfortunately, that is how it is. It's like who can do it most right now. But if you look at longevity, how much money has Dustin Poirier made total? Come on. Like, I'm not saying that you got to make it all fair and this and that, and it should be all, but it does, dude, draw out some freaking respect.
You gotta renegotiate some of these contracts. Exactly.
Yeah, and then Poirier basically said, "F off! I'm not going to fight for that." And I would, and then what does Dana White say? He doesn't want to fight. No, you're missing a huge contextual detail. You don't want to even discuss pay. You don't even want to discuss it, right? Talk about another situation where someone's clearly lying. Dana White's saying that John Jones is asking for Deontay Wilder money, which is like $30-40 million. John Jones saying to us that he's only asking for like $2 or $3 million. How the hell can you have that big of a discrepancy? Just sit down like a bunch of grown-ups and figure this out, because that's totally somebody lying and being a child. So, like, just, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the whole Venom sponsorship deal coming in. How is that going to change the structure? I can't imagine Venom paying like too much more than Reebok or even less.
Dude, how the hell? How is? Can we look up stock? We can look up stocks. There's no way Venom, and I may be totally off, but when I think, and I'm not at all huge into pop culture, but Reebok, Venom.
I mean, outside of like hardcore like people that do kickboxing or MMA, does anyone know about Venom? No
No,
disrespect. I love the brand. I have their gloves in the back here, but
they have some of the best stuff for MMA, and you're exactly right. And that has to be what they're trying to do. They have to be like, let's try to make it more fighter friendly. Venom, because Reebok, they saw what I just wish. Go back to giving these guys sponsorships on their shorts,
just
man.
let everyone have whatever they
Just let
want.
everyone make hundreds of. And here's the thing, because
Let Cody McKenzie walk out in basketball shorts again.
dude, just let them, bro. Let them. And here's the thing, because it can't even be making the UFC that much more money. It has got to be, the Reebok deal's got to be adding like this much money to like the grand scheme of things. And if you just let them make hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I have no doubt that they make just on their shorts alone, that's like taking this much away from. So,
Although it's the same time, like recently you listened to Miles Jury kind of breaking down his Bellator sponsorship, and honestly, yeah, all those short logos actually don't add up that much as some people have been saying.
They don't add up that much?
Yeah, that they aren't adding so much. So, I mean, you never know that if Brendan Traub was true, that he was making like 150K in sponsors, because Miles Jury was also breaking it down that like it wasn't really much more than Reebok deal.
So he broke down Brendan Schaub's, or he broke down like his own?
He broke down his own, and then that's kind of makes me question whether Brendan was really making under 50K, and then kind of you see like Rory McDonald kind of talking about how he's going to make all this sponsorship money, yet he walks out in Everlast shorts with no logos or anything. So you like never know.
That's a very interesting point, my good sir. I love both of those points, and I'm gonna have to look more into that for sure, because like you said, if Miles Jury at one point, he was really highly touted when he fought.
Give him a follow on YouTube, everyone. Yeah, he's breaking down like the fighter pay really well on this channel.
Cool. Oh, dude, shout out Miles Jury, because I think that at one point he was really good. He was coming off of a win over Diego Sanchez and then got Donald Cerrone, and at that point he was looked to beat Donald and move forward. At least that's what I remembered. So if he was at that point and making a substantially less amount of money compared to Brandon Schaub, then I would put more stock into that. I would put more stock into almost anything that somebody says over than Brendan Schaub. Not necessarily because I think that he's a liar, that because he's demonstrated himself that he talks so much that even his opinions are not accurate. I mean, you can seriously go on YouTube. I mean, go on YouTube and you will see 30-minute compilations to an hour of him completely switching thought processes, not even necessarily years and apart, like days. So, like I said, I would definitely put more stock into Miles Jury, and now I want to know. Now I want to look more into this. But regardless, if now, here's the thing. So then that's even better. If Venom can get to the point that they're paying everyone decently compared to that, then that's great. Hopefully that happens, right?
Yeah, and then I guess we can quickly look into the next two fight cards, like which fights just excite us.
Yes, sir.
Like I think the main event and co-main event coming up would be pretty interesting. Anthony Smith fighting again, fighting Devin Clark. That could be a good one. So,
all right, let's do it. Oh, and then what was the other one? You gonna say something else?
And the other one, we got Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis in the main event. So you could definitely know what Curtis Blades is gonna do in this one.
Yeah, and all right. Oh, we got Spark Hot. Oh, never mind. So I got distracted. So let's do this. So we got Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis first. I think Curtis Blades is going to win by either a unanimous decision. I think most likely a late stoppage, because I think Derek Lewis isn't going to want to be in there after a couple of rounds. I think, like you said, I don't think it's going to be any secret. I think Curtis Blades is going to avoid the striking or the dangerous striking, I will say, at all costs. I think Blades can handle himself on the feet. I think that Derek Lewis is looking exceptionally better. I think his conditioning is much stronger. So I'm very curious how that's going to make me possibly eat my own words. But I believe that whatever way I chalk this up, other than Derek Lewis landing a knockout shot, which he can still do in the third or fourth round, he demonstrated that with Volkov, who I think probably has a really strong freaking chin. He looks like it. So I think Lewis can get the knockout, and I think he can get the better on the feet. But Blades may be a little more technical, and I think he's going to chase that takedown, and I think he's going to get it, dare I say, I think he's going to get it pretty handedly.
Yeah, I'm thinking also, I think eventually ref might step in, seeing that Lewis is not defending too much on the ground. So
just look at Mark Hunt versus Derek Lewis. I know that was a long time ago, but it was the 4th round. He clearly didn't want to be there anymore. He didn't want to be there anymore. And I'm not saying that that's a weak mindset in general. But because sometimes you just don't want to play the game. You just don't want to play the sport. I get that, but he showed that can happen to him. So can it happen again? It might. And I think Curtis Blades has the style to pull it out if need be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then
now, what do you think about Smith versus Devin Clark? Because I'm bouncing. I'm beating back and forth here. I'm leaning towards the new kid on the block, but I'm kind of going towards the veteran. What do you think?
I think I'm gonna go with Smith on this one. That's what I've been kind of looking through right now.
You're looking. I'm gonna look up his sure dog.
That's looking up. I think I've just been looking at it. I mean, obviously Smith hasn't looked as great lately, but I think at the same time, also Devin Clark's also had some setbacks in his career. It's not these 15-0 prospect with all knockouts, and I think Anthony Smith still has what it takes to fight at that level. So I think Smith is going to actually win that fight.
Yeah. Devin Clark's actually got a fight against the current champion. Lost by choke. Didn't expect that. But I'm looking at it. Definitely battle tested. Like you said, loss versus Joan Blachowicz, win versus Mike Rodriguez, who I think just fought. Alexander Rakic, you got good guy. Ryan Span's got a loss too, who's now just recently fought in the top 15. Then Alonzo Menefield in his previous debut. Yeah, as I'm kind of going through it, I'm starting to lean more towards I think that the veteran's going to be able to get this done. I think he might have a little bit more experience. But man, I don't know. For some reason, I'm Devin Clark is popping out at me. But I guess I will. You know what? We agreed on the main event. Screw that. And you said Smith. Get out of my face, Ramon. I'm picking Devin Clark.
All right.
I'm picking Devin Clark just because it would be lame if I keep going with the same one, and because I am leaning towards him. Let's go with the heart and over the brain.
Yeah, and I guess still looking into whatever's happening outside of MMA, we got to touch on the Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson fight. I know we've been waiting to discuss this.
Yeah. I've just got one question. If somebody gets a cut with the first punch that throws, are they really just going to stop it? Because they say if a cut opens up, this is in the rule book. If a cut opens up, they're stopping the fight.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole book, but I've heard that Dana White was laughing about that you cannot knock someone out.
If a cut opens up, they're stopping the fight. If they think that they're throwing with the malice or the intention to knock out, they're stopping the fight. What the heck? What's the point? I would like to see them try. I would like for them to do that in front of that freaking audience. Them stop it over a cut. I would love to see it. I just and like I said, once you get a knockdown, are they really just gonna stop it? Like,
I mean, honestly, like, why are you even doing this fight then? I mean, if you're that concerned about safety, let them wear headgears or do something like that.
There is now officially no point in watching it. There's no point. And the only reason why I'm saying that, because I don't think it's no point in watching it, because I don't think they're going to follow the rules. I don't think they're not going to punch with malice or intention. But if a cut opens up and that's what's going to stop it, what's the point? Seriously.
I just cannot imagine Mike Tyson just going in and just not punching.
Here's the thing. I'll be kind of upset if he doesn't. Because once again, that wouldn't be Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. That would be a fake. That would be not a real interpretation of how that fight would go. Because like you said, he wouldn't just crowd because he can't. He can't look like he's knocking him out. So you ask me, I think that just kind of makes it silly, pretty pointless. But we're going to talk about that fight like it's actually taking place. Like, who do you think is actually going to win? And I think Roy Jones Jr. I think there's going to be a couple of points. I think Mike Tyson, inactive much longer. Roy Jones Jr., I think has fought as recently as 2006.
Just fought? Pretty recently, he fought
2018.
in 2018, and then had fight in 17, then 2 fights in 16. So he's been like regularly still fighting, and he was like not, I mean, ranked in the top 10, but he was still fighting not guys that were at least in top 50, top 100. So he was still up there. So I mean, definitely activity wise, you gotta give it to Roy Jones.
I think So I think Jones Jr. is going to be much more active and comfortable in there. I think he's aged a lot better. I think Tyson's gone through, even though he looks fantastic now. Do not get me wrong. I think that his videos coming out right now, I think look next level. I think they really scare me in terms of how hard he must have used to hit, because now at whatever age he is, it still looks mightily impressive. But I think Roy Jones Jr. has that style that's going to be able to keep Mike Tyson at a certain distance. I don't think Mike Tyson's going to be as explosive. I think he's still going to have it. I just don't think he's going to land it. And here's another thing. Once again, if they're looking for points here, Roy Jones Jr. is definitely going to have the point scale style, and I think that he's going to be able to outmove Mike Tyson. And I think it'll probably be decision or a late stoppage, because another thing that has been demonstrated is after a certain amount of rounds, it doesn't completely go away, but the danger level of Mike Tyson clearly goes down. I think Teddy Atlas said it best, and I quote Teddy Atlas so people don't jump down my throat, but Mike Tyson, in terms of like a lot of all the fights being back and forth, he didn't win a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just look at his record. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? He had a lot of devastating first round knockouts. That is not being denied. He is a terminator. He is a destroyer. But once it gets past 2 rounds, the knockouts significantly decrease because his mindset significantly decreases. It's the way that it is.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. So
what do you think? Do you think Tyson's going to land the knockout punch? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks really impressive in training, and it's just like you gotta give it to him. But he's like made this comeback,
and he's
in
much
such a good
bigger.
shape. And but I still think, I mean, Roy Jones was like boxing not that long ago, so I think Roy Jones Jr., for all the reasons you mentioned, I'm just still mind-boggling to me, this whole rule book. I think Dana White was laughing about it, and then imagine if you had like a Rocky Balboa movie where he came back to fight, and then the rules said that you cannot knock someone out.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious, dude. Oh my gosh, man. And then also, like, I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say. It was gonna be about the Roy Jones Mike Tyson fight. Who knows? But regardless, damn, what was I gonna say? Shoot, that's gonna bother me. I think one thing is that Mike Tyson is much thicker. Like, I know that Roy Jones went down from middleweight and went all the way up to win a heavyweight title, and Mike Tyson kind of stayed. Was never really big heavyweight, more cruiserweight. Probably could have made that weight class, honestly, if he wanted to. So he's gonna be bigger, right? And he's gonna be punching harder. And another thing, and this is the point that I was gonna make, Roy Jones Jr., it also depends on the mindset that they're going in when they're with. Because some people might be going into this Mike Tyson fight at 50 and saying, let me knock him out. Let me land that left hook. Let me knock him out. Roy Jones Jr. isn't thinking that. And because I've heard exactly what he likes to do for a lot of his fights. He wants to embarrass them. He wants to make them miss. He wants to make it look like showboaty. And once again, that is going to be not good for Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, tonight we'll see actually the weigh-ins in a few hours' time. So we'll see how that goes. And
hell yeah.
I guess we'll have something interesting to review next time. Review these 2 upcoming UFC fight cards, review Tyson and Jones, and then preview the next pay-per-view card.
Yeah. Oh, and one more that I wanted to get your thoughts on, because I don't think we talked about it, because I am curious, is Hermansson versus Holland, right? Because now Holland stepped in for Till. And that one's December 5th, and I just don't think we touched on that one. Who are you picking right off the bat? Do you think Hermansson, or do you think Kevin Holland?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look into, obviously, Kevin Holland's got such a prospect, so many like wins recently, and
then he's got some losses.
Haven't seen all of his fights, but yeah, it's like seen how impressive he's been so far. But I mean, I just got to go with Hermansson. I think like people just forget how good this guy is. With wins over Jacare, David Branch, who was also a great fighter, that people forget about, and then Kelvin Gastelum by submission. They a lot of submission wins, so I think he has that advantage. And I'm picking Hermanson.
Yeah, I'm picking Hermanson as well. I was curious, just because that was more so the last main fight that we didn't talk about. It's gonna be a question of how good is Hermanson's striking compared to Holland's. Can Holland, movement stay away? But I think, like you said, I think Hermanson's gonna chase him down, and it always goes back to, and this always sticks out to me. I think it's incredibly impressive that he submitted Kevin Gastelum in like less than a minute with a heel hook. That's just weird. That just doesn't happen very often. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be able to get it done. I think he'll have the poise. I don't think he'll get drawn into any shenanigans. So I'm with you, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right. Anything else you want to share?
Anything else? No, sir. I think that's everything. I think we touched on
a wrap.
A lot. Yes, sir, we did. That's fantastic. And like you said, we'll have some fights to review.
Really looking forward to the next card for the next show for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also looking forward to, in that last fight card, I know that 19th one with Chimaev and Edwards.
Yeah. I mean, that's God knows what's gonna happen there.
Ariel Helwani has hyped me up for that fight more than any other, because I've heard him a couple times talk about this, but like Leon Edwards has probably been impacted the most by the COVID situation. He was the last fight card to be canceled. If you all remember, he was fighting Tyron Woodley. And if you can see how Tyron Woodley
supposed to go to that in London live.
and then here's the thing, we can see how Tyron Woodley's history panned out, or his career panned out. So we could assume that Leon Edwards was most likely going to win that fight. He would have been number one contender. He would have had this, he would have had that. The last event got closed down, and then you saw it. He was removed from the rankings, couldn't get any fight. They were hyping up all these other people over him. Pretty much was being like the scum of 2020.
Erased.
Yeah, and he has the last fight against the guy, probably the only guy whose victory is greater than a belt at this point because of the golden goose type of aspect. He has the potential to go from probably the most damaged from 2020 in terms of fight career, because he's still probably living a great life, but and he can go from one of the biggest chains of fortune in 1 year, the very last fight. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of leaning to wanting Edwards to win, man, because I think he's being treated like crap. And I got to be honest with you, man, Chimaev going to all of these events so quickly, it grinds my gears, man. It really
must be frustrating to him as well, seeing Chimaev, who wasn't really that known when the last fight card was canceled, but obviously had some good performances. Yeah. So we'll see how this goes.
Here's the thing. This is the only thing that they could have done that would have made it so much better. If he beats Edwards, then do all that crap. Because now he's clearly the number one contender. Then go to all these events. Then go to all these interviews. Hype up the fight. But now what happens if he gets beat? I just think it was just too soon. And I think it's a bad precedent to set. Because I know how regarded he is. I have never heard someone be regarded at this high a level. DC's saying, I think he could be the champion of both at the same time. Easy peasy. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? So I'm not saying there's not a mystique, but he's got to win he's got to win a top 15 fight. Are you freaking out of your mind? So that's just me feeling it a little bit for Edwards. So I hope he comes back and wins. That'd be cool. Or if anything, it's a really dog him out, drag out fight, and both people win from it. Who knows? But yeah. So we'll be able to talk about that. We'll probably preview that. Yeah, we'll probably be able to preview that one before it happens. Yeah, because our next podcast will probably be in 2 weeks. We'll the 11th. Yeah.
So yeah, it's about the pay-per-view and that one, both of them.
Yes, sir. And now I think we're officially done. That was one of our longer ones. That was fun.
Yeah, lots to talk about.
The main event, baby, the Latvian versus the American. We had a few debates. And now, as we talked about earlier, now I'm going to jiu-jitsu class. Now I gotta drop my weight class down, and we can do a celebrity sparring match.
That's right.
Our celebrity of
all.
Add
some weight back. I've actually dropped some muscle mass during COVID. So
you go up, I go down. We raise our viewership to 30 views. Technically, a celebrity match.
Could we do it at 185? I guess that's how high I could get up.
yes, we could. We could do it. Yeah, and it looks like we'll have to do it over Zoom. So we'll have to do a grappling match over Zoom. So yeah,
All right.
I'll be catching up over the next couple of months. But like I said, brother, that's all that we're gonna have. Anything that you want to end on, Armand? Questions, comments, concerns?
Thanks for watching. Thanks TJ for your insights. Talk to you later, guys.
Thank you for your insights. Thank you for everybody. Looking forward to the ending of 2020 with all these fights. By far the best, most profitable sport this year, 2020, MMA. Gotta love it, right?
Boom.
All right. Oh, peace out, Girl Scouts. Bam. And bye.